welcome to the Aspired Projects STEM Luncheon Series. And Dr. Melissa McDaniels will kick off this program today as she speaks about STEM mentoring. I'm the PI of the Aspired Project, which is a self-funded advanced grant, and my name is Ezra Uzdenarol, Professor of Earth Sciences. The co-PI leading the Connect mentoring training is Dr. Amanda Rackison from College of Education. Amanda, maybe you can say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Yes. And she is the contact person regarding the mentoring. Also, our Aspired program has a coordinator. Her name is Mackenzie Ivy. And you can also contact her for forms and other organizational things. Our Aspire team members composed of 6 faculty. Dean of College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Abby Harold Baker. Associate Dean of Engineering, Dr. Stephanie Ivy. I don't know if Stephanie is on the Zoom or here. Yeah, she's there at Zoom. And Physics Department Chair, Dr. Fruza Sabri. She's coming in later. She has something going on, but she'll be here. And Dr. Craig Stewart from College of Communications. Aspire stands for Adaptations for Sustainable Policies and Increased Recruitment Excellence in Diversity. We adopt evidence-based strategies from other advanced institutions to change the institutional climate at University of Memphis and increase gender equity in recruitment, hiring, retention, and advancement for STEM women faculty. Through Aspire's Connect program, we aim to address isolation problem identified by STEM women faculty. Connect will improve social and professional connections to increase women's faculty's sense of community and prospects for professional advancement within their departments through mentoring, networking, and professional development opportunities. The primary focus of our STEM luncheons will be to provide mentors and mentees participating in the Connect Women Mentoring Women program the opportunity to connect with one another and develop professionally. We are excited about your application and participation to the program. And we wanted to let you know more information is also forthcoming. During the week of November 8th, you will receive information about the training taking place in fall of 2021. You will also receive a mentoring group assignment. You have received flyers through email. As stated in our flyers, we're looking for both mentors and mentees for our mentoring program. To be eligible, you must be a STEM faculty who identifies as a woman in early, mid, or late career. What happened? I guess.
You look great.
Okay. I don't see anybody in front of me, so I was just wondering. Have a desire to advance your career. Be willing to complete an 8-hour virtual self-paced training program spread over the rest of the semester, and you will meet bi-monthly, either face-to-face or online during the academic year with a collective peer mentoring group. And the experience is inclusive of bi-monthly meetings with 3 mentees and 1 mentor, as well as the STEM luncheons per semester. You will receive notifications of acceptance after this kickoff luncheon. And our application will be open next week. Training will begin after next week, and mentoring meetings will occur between January 18 and May 5th, 2022. Now, we will have our STEM luncheons, we will hold our STEM luncheons 3 times a semester. Each luncheon will provide a professional development and networking opportunity for young women faculty and leaders. Each luncheon will involve a speaker, a 30-minute presentation, and a workshop to emphasize areas such as STEM mentoring, developing leadership skills, navigating the social challenges of being an underrepresented woman. These presentations will be on Zoom webcast live, and also we will have in-person lunch. From the presentations, the opportunity of networking during lunch will be provided. So, and the Zoom participants, you will be also networking in your respective breakout groups. And today, while the rest of is networking, mentors and mentees will continue the workshop with our speaker. And now I would like to recognize today's speaker, Dr. Melissa McDaniels. Dr. McDaniels is an Associate Director, Executive Director, and Scientist at the Center for the Improvement of Mentored Experiences in Research, University of Wisconsin-Madison. She is a co-investigator and community advancement manager for the NIH-supported National Research Mentoring Network. She's also leading a project as part of the American Physical Society's NSF Inclusive Graduate Education Network. From 2013 till 2020, in her role as member of the Michigan State University Graduate School Leadership Team, Dr. McDaniels worked to support graduate students and postdocs at Michigan State as they develop their capacities as post-secondary instructors and mentors. From 2008 till 12, McDaniels served as director of Michigan State University's NSF Advanced Grant, where she spearheaded the Institute's efforts to diversify the faculty in STEM fields. In this role, she was responsible for the development and implementation of MSU's new faculty mentoring policy. Prior to working at MSU, she held full-time positions at Northeastern University, Boston College, and National Geographic Society. She has 20 years of experience in graduate student and faculty development, undergraduate and graduate teaching, and learning and organizational change. She has had the pleasure of doing research and consulting domestically and internationally. She holds a degree from Michigan State University, Boston College, and University of Michigan. Now, I would like to thank you for participating in this luncheon series and all that you continue to do to further the mission of the Aspire project. We will send a survey through email about the luncheon after the presentation. So please fill it out. This is important for our evaluation of our project. Can't wait to see how everything comes together as our mentoring training and begins and mentoring teams are formed. And now I will let Dr. McDaniels continue.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I know there's both online and then in-person folks. Give me a wave. Hi there. I'm Dr. Melissa McDaniels. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm going to be sharing my slides with you. Just to be clear, I'm not in Maui, which is the background here. I'm actually today located in central Michigan, and where it's getting a little bit cooler. But it is great to be with you here, and I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And I hope, is everyone seeing that? Could someone give me a thumbs up? Great, thank you. So this was a real exciting opportunity for me to come to you today, because it's really allowing me to bring together a bunch of my passions. One, of course, is mentorship, but overriding, it's looking at how can we make our organizations have more equitable, accessible practices to really promote a diverse academic workforce. So the title of my talk today, and just to let you know, I have shared this with Mackenzie and she can distribute it, Catalyzing Ecosystems of Inclusive Excellence at University of Memphis, Leveraging the Science of Mentorship to Support Robust Faculty Peer Mentoring Relationships in Uncertain Times. And before I get started, I also just want to honor the fact that some of you who are back here in person are probably, just in the first few weeks of this transition. And so welcome back to what we, I guess, are calling the new normal at this point in time. And if you hear my cat in the background, you're probably used to this, I apologize. Before I start, a special thanks to all of the University of Memphis colleagues, and I hope I got all the investigators' names on this slide, and I apologize if I didn't. I got this from the NSF site, and I really wanted to give a shout out to Mackenzie Ivy. Thank you for all of the hard work you did to make this, this event possible. So let's give Mackenzie a nice round of applause. So today I have 4 goals. I have 15 to 20 minutes. I have asked Amanda to give me a heads up when I'm approaching the last 5 minutes or so. And my hopes are to offer a guiding framework for promoting a culture of inclusive excellence more broadly at University of Memphis. I hope to enrich your appreciation about the science of mentorship in STEM, and yes, there is a science. Want to encourage, especially as you are about to embark in this peer mentoring community, I want to encourage some self-reflection and intentionality as you begin your peer mentoring relationships over the next months and weeks. And then finally, I'm going to encourage you to really utilize the local expertise that's already there as you move forward with your efforts at the University of Memphis. And also, I am more than willing to take questions. I'm not looking at the chat, and I will turn to Amanda to ask those as appropriate. So I like to start off with definitions. And I've struggled with finding a definition that I felt sort of very concretely described what I am calling cultures of inclusive excellence. And my colleague Paulette Granberry Russell, the former Chief Diversity Officer at Michigan State, and I offer this one. And I like to say cultures of inclusive excellence are those that continuously strive to enhance diversity within our communities, to achieve equity in our policies and processes, and to really promote empowerment and a sense of belonging for all members of the campus community. So cultures of inclusive excellence really fold in the terms we often hear of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I also like to talk about assumptions. So a few of the assumptions of inclusive excellence that I'm bringing into this talk include, 1, the importance of systems change. So the advanced grant you have has many different components. And what is very powerful about your grant is you are providing opportunities for community development and individual professional growth and development, but it's in this broader context. So again, systems change is assumed in inclusive excellence. I really encourage us to have an asset versus deficit approach to faculty success, okay? And many of you I know are deeply committed to the student success spaces, undergraduate students, but this is the idea that faculty members bring a lot of assets to the table, and the assumption is we all have developmental areas, but again, to not focus on the deficit part of our work that often the system has sort of set us up to do. This work requires continuous work over long periods of time. And all of you, I'm sure, before this grant have been engaged in equity and inclusion work and dedication to your students or your colleagues. So, but again, this is a lifetime journey. This work is exciting and at times really challenging. It really requires intentionality and rigor. And that is why I'm bringing some of the science of mentorship in STEM to you today. And then finally, it requires leadership and an intersectional mindset. And again, you need to have support from all levels of the organization. All of you are leaders as faculty members. So that's both sort of the formal and informal. And it requires us, and this is a soapbox that I have stood on with the advanced program for 12 years. When we think about gender equity, we need to think about diversity within that social identity. And I'll be talking about that a little bit later. So as I said, mentorship has a really important role to play in promoting cultures of inclusive excellence. And what I'm about to share with you is a conceptual model that I know those of you who are social scientists or potentially in education will be familiar with it. But I really want to offer the fact that for mentoring to promote and be successful in promoting inclusive excellence, we should think about the mentoring ecosystem. And I was really thrilled to see and do some research about your Integrate connect and intersect the three pillars of your project. And I think these really do follow interventions across these different levels. So the first level is individuals. So obviously we all have qualities, and this is again the conceptual framework that impact how we interact with our environment and how our environment interacts with us. So again, this includes your race, your ability, gender identity, family ed background, social class. All of these qualities that we have impact how we engage with our environments and how others engage with us. Then there's this next level, and I like to call it the relational level. So we have relationships and interactions across our different close-in domains. So you have peer mentors within or outside your department. You have family, you have research team members. So obviously, and this may seem obvious, but I think the model suggests that, yeah, you also have to focus on how can you, for example, promote really effective mentoring relationships. And that's what you are going to be engaging in that work over the next few months. But there's an important environment that impacts all of our growth and development, and we impact it. It's our institutional environment. So particularly, our professional development occurs in day-to-day spaces where we might not have a heck of a lot of direct control over certain things. So again, you're working in an organization with promotion and tenure policies, may or may not have a budget crisis at this point in time, family leave policies, board and presidential directives, funding agency priorities. So again, these are things at the policy level, the institutional level, that impact faculty success and career development and really cannot be disconnected from those other levels. Finally, the societal and cultural level. Our day-to-day interactions occur within a broader, not only institutional context, but our societal context. The major public health crisis of a century, increasing acceptability of hate speech in this climate, immigration policy, sort of the rise of sort of use of social media, the view of higher education as a private good versus a public good. Those are societal and cultural mores and trends that absolutely impact all those other levels. So again, I encourage you, when thinking about yourself, thinking about how you can both engage with colleagues to get the professional development support I need, but also advocate for changes in policies and practices that really lift up faculty, given the sort of cultural milieu we're in right now. So again, your mentorship practices are influenced by all of these components of any individual's ecosystem. So as I said, if inclusive excellence requires intentionality and rigor, the same should be said about mentorship interventions. And I am bringing you a snapshot of an overview of a report that was published in October of 2019. It was published by our National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, and it was called The Science of Effective Mentorship in STEM. This is a wonderful report for social scientists such as myself. It's 300 pages. I got absorbed. But actually, the really great news about the National Academies is they produced an online, highly interactive guide that will enable you to learn a little bit about its recommendations. And I'm just going to be telling you a little bit about what this report said that I think is relevant to the space you all are in right now. So just briefly, these reports are put together, as you know, by committees. My colleague Angela Byers-Winston from the Medical School at University of Wisconsin was the chair, along with a nationwide group of a bunch of other colleagues. And what it was an 18, I think it was a couple year set of listening sessions were held on university campuses and a variety of professional societies across the country. The team commissioned literature reviews and convened public workshops. Again, the goal was to gather evidence from scholars and practitioners about the study and practice of mentorship. What works, what doesn't work, and what don't we know yet? So for any of you who are interested in social science research, there are still a lot of places to further engage in this research. So not a surprise, but there is a science of mentorship. If you take the definition of science as the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of structures and behaviors through observation, experiment, and theory. And it brings together a multitude of different disciplinary perspectives, from organizational to social psychology and to discipline-based education. One of my latter slides I'm going to share with you, I did a Scopus online research search, and found that about 10 different departments at University of Memphis have scholars who have already published on mentorship. And again, the science and mentorship also, this is going to provide guidance on what are the effective behaviors or theoretical frameworks and measures and mentoring tools and structures. All of this information is included in recommendations. I will say, in full transparency, the charge of this group was to make recommendations specifically for institutions related to faculty mentoring of graduate students and undergraduates. However, the literature that was used applies more broadly. So again, these recommendations are ones that are directly applicable to faculty careers as well. So one of the things, and I always said this when I was in the advanced program, you go into a room in Washington, when we used to have face-to-face, go into a room in Washington with a bunch of other grantees from any of the wonderful workforce development programs at NSF, and you sort of talk about mentorship, and everyone's like, yay, mentorship. Actually, the idea of mentoring and mentorship, we can have tormentors as well as mentors. And particularly, instead of mentoring, I wanted to, in the National Academies offered this definition of mentorship, and I'll tell you why that's important. And so they suggest that institutions adapt a formal definition like this. And here, mentorship is a professional working alliance that involves individuals working together over time to support the personal and professional growth of those individuals and success of all partners through the provision of career and psychosocial support. What is really interesting, that is different from mentoring. And the reason why they're defining mentorship instead of mentorship involves the agentic activity of people on all sides of the relationship. So again, peer mentors can be in a working alliance. You can have senior faculty and junior faculty having this working alliance. You can have senior and junior faculty having that alliance, but guess what? The junior faculty member is really serving as a mentor to the senior faculty member on specific topic areas. So again, I encourage you to consider for your programs a shared definition of mentorship, and this is one. The report also talked about the range of structures, and this is not new to many of you. We have mentoring dyads, we have mentoring triads, we have mentoring communities, we have networks. And the network in particular, I wanted to point out because number one, it suggests none of us can rely on one person for our mentorship. It also suggests that sometimes an individual or a mentor is needed to help you get to your next stage, but sometimes it's a resource. And my good friend and colleague, Dr. Miranda Montgomery from Michigan State University, wrote a wonderful article in 2014 where she sort of laid out the importance of thinking about mentorship in terms of what are the professional development needs, and then who or what can help you get there. So again, the report acknowledged these structures. Again, the report asked, how can we create a culture of effective mentorship? It produced 9 recommendations. And it's basically suggesting that institutions should move from ad hoc focus on mentorship to a broader discussion. And so what's really neat, and again, I'll be giving you the link address to the report, they have a series of specific recommendations for different levels of a university. The final 2 sets are directed actually at not only professional organizations, but also disciplinary societies and funders. So again, it's a comprehensive report that focuses on the multiple levels of the mentorship ecosystem. There were 4 major study findings. One was effective mentorship is associated with positive mentee outcomes. The literature is absolutely clear on this. Also, that effective mentorship is a learned and developed skill. either you have already engaged in some online or will be engaging in some mentorship education. And the evidence shows that that's a very important part of developing a culture of mentorship. It talks about recognizing and responding to cultural and other social identities it's crucial for effective mentoring relationships, and that institutions have a critical role in broadening access to effective and inclusive mentorship. And again, I don't have a slide on this, but the research has shown that those of us of female identified who are not white, like myself, there's unequal access to quality mentorship. So again, very important to think about the results, especially as it's addressed by an intersectional lens. So as I said, effective mentorship makes a difference, particularly around it sort of develops sort of an enhanced growing science identity. This idea that I am a scientist, I can succeed in science, and sort of feel a sense of belonging. Effective mentorship also has been shown to be tied to both faculty persistence and the persistence to people at other career stages. It's been linked to research productivity, and it's been linked to higher career satisfaction. All of these individual outcomes should be of concern of an institution who is looking to recruit, retain, and promote a diverse faculty workforce. The report also said, again, some of this will be intuitive to you, others of you I know who are mentoring research experts, these will not surprise you, that there's 4 key elements. One is trust, one is self-reflection, one is aligning expectations. This, I would say, is one of the most pivotal actions you can take early in your peer mentoring relationship, and any of your mentoring relationships, that can really lead to the best use of time and effective outcomes for both parties. And I'll be giving you some reflection questions to use to address expectations. And finally, mentorship is a learned skill. Okay, mentorship education does influence how we engage in our mentoring relationships. The report also did address peer mentoring. And I forgot which chapter this is, but there's a chapter on peer mentoring, and peer mentoring outcomes were also found to be important as promoting collaboration. That's one of the things I think about peer mentoring that's really fun, because a lot of your relationships could turn into actually intellectual or pedagogical collaborations. It provides colleagues with career and psychosocial support, which is what the definition talks about. It has been shown to increase dedication to a field or a discipline. It increases retention, enhance self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is again the belief you can succeed in a specific domain, and it diminishes feelings of isolation. I know, Amanda, thank you very much for the note. I'm going to keep speeding through here. Thanks. As I said, and I would be happy to talk more about this later, I've included it in the resource. It is a learned skill. Our center at Madison has 2 curricula that focuses on training mentors. And I'd be happy to speak with any of you about what this looks like after this talk. So I would like to pose a question, and I guess this is going to be for the participants online, unless the participants in the room have access to the poll. I wanted to put this poll up, and my question is, just out of curiosity, I'm launching the poll now. Have you ever engaged in any formal mentorship education during your career before this peer mentoring program?
Yes, raise your hand.
Yeah, if you have, you could raise your hands. Okay. Give it a. Okay. All right. So this is actually good. And this is actually, Amanda, I'm thinking about some things and resources I'll be able to get you to further some of those opportunities for your group. So again, most of you haven't engaged in that, and that's not a huge surprise, but I would argue that this is changing. Let me just move. I feel like I have all my different slides here open. Thank you for your, there's a randomized control trial. Again, I can talk about it much more later, that the approach we have at University of Wisconsin went through a double-blind trial where the mentees of senior faculty within a biomedical context both they observed changed behaviors on the part of the mentors, even though they didn't know the mentors were going through this trial, and mentors reported increased effectiveness using the approach we have at Madison. But again, we can go more into that later. Third recommendation is recognizing and responding to cultural identities is incredibly important. There are many different approaches to culturally responsive mentoring out there, and I would be happy to supply some resources to those of you who would be interested in that. And again, various dimensions of identities and responding to them are empirically linked to important outcomes. And finally, institutions play a role. Colleges and universities can support more effective mentorship on their campuses by, and what's so great is that your advanced grant is trying to adapt some of these practices, providing mentorship education, promoting the use of tools that exist. And again, this report has a bunch of those tools, using data and research to hold broader conversations about mentorship and mentorship innovations, and if institutions can reward and incentivize mentorship. And those are, again, 5 areas that many institutions, and there are a lot of policy communities that are sharing best practices and great ideas that I also can connect any of you, but the advanced team in particular, to as you move forward. So what are my recommendations? I have some recommendations for individuals. I want you to ask, as you are entering this new working alliance, what are your developmental needs? Which of these needs can be supported by this new working alliance, but which needs need to be supported through other means? And again, other means can be other people or other resources. I encourage you all to ask, for those of you who are going to, you're going to be engaging in this peer mentoring side. So as someone who's going to be providing support, what experiences and or expertise can I bring to the working alliance? What experiences or expertise am I less able to leverage in this alliance? No one at any given point in time can offer everything to one person. So again, this is the theme of being intentional about what your professional development needs are, what your strengths are that you can offer to someone else, and again, aligning expectations and boundaries. I really want you all to ask, and this could be a whole separate talk, how might your social identities, those that particularly place you in the majority, result in blind spots that will impact how you will or will not support your colleague? So what personal work do I, for example, does Melissa McDaniels still need to do to understand how my identities as a cisgender, white, physically and cognitively abled colleague impact who and how I'm working in these alliances? Always asking this question is incredibly important. I'm going to make this recommendation for leadership. And there's a chapter that my chief diversity officer and I wrote together on lessons learned after the advanced grant. And I've seen this repeatedly with the advanced IT grants, but oftentimes the co-PIs, we submit these grants, we get them awarded. It's a lot of sort of bells and whistles, but we often forget or ignore what or whom has come before us at our institutions in equity and inclusion. And oftentimes we're getting these grants because there's a lot of work to do. But again, often you can't ignore what has come before you. And also sometimes the expertise that's already there. And I'm probably telling you things you know, but I'm just mentioning this. So again, how can this advanced grant, genuinely partner with key colleagues who've been engaged in equity work at the University of Memphis for years, chief diversity officers, center directors, and how can you unlock local expertise about mentorship itself? And actually, I didn't include the slide, but again, I can share it with you. Engineering, some of your health sciences areas, education, business. There are about 10 different disciplines across your colleges where people have published empirical articles about mentorship. Finally, I just wanted to show here that there are resources. I apologize, Amanda, I've been going on too long. There's an online guide. This is a screenshot of the online accessible guide for the report. This is a screenshot of Simmer's top page. And again, remember the assumptions of inclusive excellence. And again, I really applaud first of all, congratulate you on this grant. And I really applaud all of you as individuals of being willing to be intentional and spend time to contribute not just to your professional growth, but of the growth of the campus. So I will stop there. Thank you very, very much.